I got a call that Homeland Security was raiding our factory. And at first I thought it was a joke. And it wasn't a joke. And people at the factory seemed very panicked. So I very quickly rushed to the factory to find out what was actually happening.
In 2011, Gibson guitars, an icon in American music, became the federal government's victim. In what some have called an excessive and unwarranted raid, federal authorities descended on the Nashville manufacturer with guns drawn.
When I got there, there were people in SWAT attire. They had evacuated our entire factory, and all the employees were standing in the parking lot. And several of the SWAT-like people had fallen upon one of the fellows who was in our procurement department, and there were 8 of them, several armed, in his office and interrogating him.
Why was Gibson Guitars raided? Because, according to prosecutors, Gibson Guitars violated the Lacey Act.
The Lacey Act is a 100-year-old statute that's recently been expanded to incorporate the foreign law of every country in the world regarding endangered species. The government's position is that Gibson had imported pieces of wood from India that hadn't been finished within India. And under Indian law, arguably, that would be a violation of their law because India prefers that products be finished in India rather than finished in some other country. It helps their job market.
Andrew Grossman is a lawyer who is an expert in constitutional law. He says the raid on Gibson is an example of government run amok.
It really gets to the heart of the problem with the breadth of the Lacey Act these days. Because it incorporates the foreign law of really every country in the planet, it makes it very difficult for the United States government to set enforcement priorities. Potentially anything is against the law.
We certainly saw the prosecutor that was eventually put on the case to put people in jail and cause us eventually great harm, but who actually determined that Gibson selectively should be pursued? Because other people were buying the same wood here in the United States, both from Madagascar and from India, and no one else in our industry has been prosecuted. To have SWAT teams come into your factories twice and shut the business down and cause millions of dollars about basically a bureaucratic law was extraordinary. And I just don't think that's right. It cost our business a lot of money, a lot of my personal time. You know, it was possible for myself or other people in this company to go to jail for as long as 7 years. That does not make you feel really great.
Grossman says there is legislation that would decriminalize the Lacey Act.
Congress should sit down and decide what is a criminal offense, and they should take that seriously because it really does affect businesses and people on the ground. The law should always be comprehensible, and when you're incorporating so many foreign countries' law into the United States, it simply doesn't work. There's no way for a diligent, law-abiding citizen to follow just such a large and broad body of law.
For more information, go to facesoflawsuitabuse.org.